everybody. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to construct a smart meter cover at home relatively inexpensively and quite quickly. Smart meters are one of the few radiation emitting devices that we can mitigate, and if you can construct a cover that your hydro company does not need tools to remove, you will be able to safely use this model without interfering with the signal that the hydro company needs to send you your bill. So I started by measuring the meter that I've got here, and it's probably a pretty typical size. And so what I'm measuring is the size of the grounding ring that surrounds the meter, more than just the little glass front. The metal ring that's around it is very important in this design. So in this case, I am 7.16 inches in diameter for the inside, and then I've got a 4-inch outside ring. And then down here I've cut out a little notch in the bottom, and that's 7 centimeters across, and that is to allow the meter cover to go around the locking ring. And again, there's swiggle room here because we're going to be dealing with pleats that are adjustable in the size. So after making that template, I then use it to cut a circle of aluminum screening. Not black, the aluminum color, as this will be a very important feature of the Faraday cage that you are going to build for your meter. So what I did was cut out the outside circle. I've got the little notch, and then for the inside circle, it's quite important. I just markered 4 points on that marker to show me where I'm going to bend this over. If you buy the aluminum screening in 30-inch widths, you can cut 2 of these because they're about 15 inches across. So it's economical to buy the 30-inch screen. So this is a jig that I made myself, and it is that same diameter that was on my template. Now I just used flashing and taped it, and so it's kind of wobbly, but it'll do fine. Anything that you don't have to have this, but this makes it a heck of a lot easier to make a nice looking cover. So try and figure out what is the diameter of that ring, and then create some kind of jig if you can. If you can't, you can still bend this screen in a facsimile. That'll be fine. So what I do is I lay my screening right on the top of it, and I'm lining up my black marks that I put on there from the template for the 7.1 inches. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to wear gloves for this part because the screen is quite sharp. So what you need to do this project is your jig, some screen, some scissors, a stapler, and I'll show you the taping method that I'm using as we get there. So what I do basically is I push down the screen, creating that top seam. And you're just kind of squishing it so that you will stay centered when you go to pleat down your sides. So we just kind of go like that on a rough kind of a pushing down, and that gives you the little circle shape in the top. That's going to be important so that the cover looks good. So then, being careful to avoid the notch, because that's going to have to be a flat part, what I'm going to do is just grab the edge of the screen and create a little, triangle, pinch it up to the top, and then fold it over. And then go along and take a good handful of it. Grab a good pinch it out like that, and then fold it over. Okay, so when you have that, you take it off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stapler, and this is just any heavy-duty stapler, because remember, this screening is very easy to cut. It just cuts like fabric. and it staples easily too. So I'm just going to snick a little staple on each pleat, because again, if I have to adjust my size after, it's easy to pop the staple out and do it again. Last pleat, you know, work it on the jig so that when you pull it, your last few pleats are going to make it tight around the edge of the size that you're after. So we're just going to do that. So as you can see, my edges are not exactly flush at this point, and that's why I've left 4 inches. So there's room now, as you can see here, and it's better to do this over a sink or outside because this stuff gets into the carpet. Now I'm just going to trim it, but you know, carefully trim it. Don't be hacking and losing all your height. You're going to need it. So I'm just going to lightly trim. It doesn't have to be perfectly flat, but see how just a few snips I'm taking off anything that's sticking up. Okay, so now, before I go any further, I am going to go out and see how it fits around the outside ring of the smart meter, not the little glass cap. Okay, so now I know that's a good fit. If it had been a little snug or a little loose, I simply would have just pulled out one of these pleats and made it a little bigger or smaller. So don't worry too much about getting the size exactly right. This is a very easy to adjust model. So now what I've got is a strip of, it's almost like cardboardy kind of tinfoil. Now you can use tinfoil as well. I'm going to use this because it's a little thicker. So I just have pre-cut this piece. So again, you can take a string or a tape measure and go around the outside ring, again, not the cover itself, but the ring that's part of your house. And interestingly enough, that ring on your house is the part of the smart meter that you own. The hydro company owns the meter, but you own the grounded ring. Okay, so now I've just folded this skinny, and now I'm going to fold it skinny again. And I started with a strip that was, you know, 2 inches wide. Now I folded it down to 1 inch. And now I'm going to fold it again because this is just a little reinforcement. It's a conductive substance, but it's also a reinforcing kind of thing so that this isn't too wobbly on there. So you start at the edge. I'm going to come up and again so you can really see this. Now I folded it again, and it's kind of like a little edging, and I'm going to start on the edge of my notch, because we'll do the notch later, and just put that over, give it a squeeze, and then again, so it's not too floppy, I'm just going to staple it. And now I'm going to go around. Hope you can see that. And again, just give it a little squish. And you have to be patient. This is probably the fussiest part. Okay, so we've got our little hat there. The next bit is a duct tape, basically. This is conductive foil tape, and it's used in duct work. But it's a foil tape. So what I'm going to do is, it's got a little peeling back on it. And this is what will finish the meter cover, again with a conductive surface. So I take it back a little bit. You need that conductivity to bring ground to create this into a Faraday cage. So I lay it down, and then I kind of roll my meter cover along. So I'm going to put it, again, starting on one side of my notch. And I'm just going to lay it so that it looks like it's halfway up the tape. Set up if I roll it. And this stuff is really sticky, so don't take the backing off all at once because you won't be able to manage it. So I'm just going to roll the cover along, peeling back the stuff as I go. I'm just going to roll it. And I'm going to snip this because it was a little long. And again, my notch, I'll deal with it after. You always have to take the notch into consideration. Now, I'm just going to snip every couple of inches as I go around, because what you're going to want to do is now fold these up. And just do them one at a time. Again, patience makes for a better looking meter cover. So that's all I'm doing now, is I'm going to just be folding it over, and I'll squish it down later when I have my gloves on. And after you've got that all folded over, you just really go along pressing it. So I'm going to continue that, and then I'm going to put a little piece of tape here and do the same thing. Okay, so I've just added a little bit of tape onto this part and press this down all the way around, as long as this is a nice snug fit. And let's go out and try it on the meter. Okay, so now we've got our smart meter cover, and now we have an opportunity to test them in the field. We're in Nelson, BC. We are dealing with an older technology Itron meter. It is a step-down meter, which means that it's a one-way radio transmitter. It will send a signal, but it will not receive. So we're going to take signals before and after we put the cover on. So let's see what we've got. I have a attenuator on this RF meter, and it's going to read microwatts per meter squared. And whatever we get on here, we times it by 100 because of the attenuator. So let's see what we get. $143, so that's times 100, that's 14,000 microwatts per meter squared. I'm leaning against this house here at the back so that when we take the readings, we're going to be at a consistent distance on both sets of readings. This type of meter transmits once per 30 seconds. And we will see what the next one is. So we're dealing with about 14,500 microwatts per meter squared. Now that will vary. Not all of the hits are exactly the same, but we've got a ballpark there. So I'm just going to put this meter cover on and see what we get. Actually, I'm going to take the attenuator off, because I know from doing these tests that the meter reading will be too low for this to pick up now. .5. You can zoom in on this, Jamie. We're going to take a couple of readings off of this. And if we can see the numbers, that was 0.6. That ticking sound is someone's wireless network that they turned on. .6. So that is the smart meter cover. I would urge you to make your own.